Hi, this is Snaily Snail. So I've had some people ask me how I know how to speak Taishanese. I think it's pretty obvious that I spoke it at home, but I think that most people, the way that they learn it is from like a grandparent. Unfortunately, most of my grandparents have passed away before I could even speak, so that really wasn't an option. But I will admit, if you line up me and my brother and my cousins all together, all the ABC ones, we all speak Taishanese very differently. My brother probably says things a little bit wrong because he didn't like to be corrected. So as a little kid, he would say "tikai" instead of "gikai" for why. And because he just hated being teased, everyone just like dropped it and let him speak however he wanted to speak it. 我嘅口語冇標準, but it's like, it's fine. I just like pick and choose whatever I like, which probably is not the right way to do it, but it's okay. So the reason why my Chinese sounds a lot different from probably like how my parents sound is also because I've just had so many different people come in and out of my life, especially when I was younger. So when my parents were working, they would drop me off at this grandma's home, and she was amazing. She had she has so much candy in her. You know, like those haw flakes? I did not know they're for like stomach aches and stuff. They come in a lot. And she just let me eat the whole thing by myself. I'm probably gonna have colon cancer one day. 佢個婆婆會照顧我，佢會安排陣時，我諗佢就係嗌我一會 and then we just said hi to all the grandmas and the grandpas. 佢個婆婆會安排好叻 and like, you know the slapping sound they make when you like drop a really good card during Big Two? And she was really good at shuffling. 我記得佢冇牙，所以佢入蘋果嗰陣時有播 until it's like a little soft, and then that's how she ate apples. I was like, that's so sad. And then I think she would just like watch me eat apples, and I'm here like crunch, crunch. When I was in kindergarten, 要兩個女都係紅外字. So these girls, they took my room and they stayed with us for a little bit, and they spoke Taishanese. So I always grew up with Taishanese people. 紅外要一個一幫我要識. So that's how I know it was kindergarten, because I remember telling my teacher, oh yeah, I had someone help me with, you know, coloring, and she just like gave me a look like, oh my god, you can't even color. Okay, let me tell you, kindergartners have like the tiniest wrists. I still have baby wrists right now. There's no way I could color a frog that's like the size of an A4 piece of paper. And then eventually, I think they found a home of their own, so then they didn't have to live with us. I do think they're related to the grandma and the little boy who went to China with me. So, okay, the boy I went to China with, he is actually born in China. And then I think the dad was able to get his whole family over here. So when he started playing with me, he thought that I was a boy. We would both sit with our legs spread open, you know, like a diamond, and then he would take a ball and try to aim it at my nuts. And I did not have nuts, so I would always pretend like I was in pain. I wish they had let me grow out my hair a lot earlier so I wouldn't have to deal with this stuff. So that's why I didn't like playing with him. So that lasted for, I'd say, maybe a year or two. And then when she moved out, 我要一個姨嘅紅外字，講我嘅姨又嗌佢嘅對女來. And because they were more my age, we were able to speak a little bit, and then once in a while I'm like, what's 恐怖? And then I was like, oh wait, it sounds like 恐怖. So then I'm like, oh okay, it just means like scary. And then after they came, 我要兩個姨紅外以前嘅一個來 with So I've always had a constant flow of people just coming in, and so that's how I've been able to expand my vocabulary a little bit. 我個婆婆搬出之後, it was just a lot of like me focusing on getting into a good school, and then 我亦都好義工，我亦都義工陣時好事係我學業界或者會見我嘅學業界，嗰陣一年來嘅會識講海山話, and that is how I've always had some exposure, even though I think the kids were in 3rd grade, 4th grade. There was this one incident when I was volunteering. So 有一個方面都係會混隻腳, so we were rollerblading at the time, and he didn't say anything the whole trip, and it was only once we got back when he mentioned something, and he was just like, oh, 都男人有NZ, and I was just like, nah. So those are the kinds of little kids that I was around. As I grow older, I do recognize how fortunate I am to have all this exposure in my life, because I didn't know that there weren't that many Taishanese speakers. Like when I went to California, everyone spoke Khoisanwa, so I was like, oh, okay, this is really cool. I think there was a time where we were considering moving to California, but we decided against it because at that time our whole life was in Boston. And then what happened was there was this home that we were looking at with this grandpa, and then his flat screen TV got stolen, and then I think that just like spooked my parents, and so that's why we just stayed in Massachusetts. I think there are still like a decent amount of Taishanese speakers. They're probably just like me and like become soksing. That is how I know how to speak a little bit. I'm still not confident in my Mandarin speaking, my Cantonese, definitely not. But I remember there were some people who my parents would just invite over to the home just so they had exposure with children, because I think they were thinking about starting their own family. And I remember one day my dad was like, stop speaking in baby Chinese. So for example, sometimes we say zaza, like when you want to say it's dirty. That's what you say to little kids. Instead, he was like, say la tat. And I think my home was just the place where you always spoke Taishanese, like even all my neighbors. So a lot of my friends' parents, they all speak Taishanese, but I have noticed that the kids speak Cantonese. It would be really confusing because they would just talk to us in Taishanese and then to their kids in Cantonese, and like we can kind of understand, but it was just like, who are you talking to? So I think just having exposure to so many different people who are of different ages has helped me with my Taishanese skills. So there are times where I just don't really want to speak to some older people because like my dad, he does not let you drink water with dinner, like, or just like when you're eating food, he won't let you drink water. It's really strange. So lots of times that's why we end up just like eating by ourselves. We're just like, I don't want to deal with this. It was also easier for me to hang out with my younger cousins who are more open to teaching me. All right, I hope you got to know a little bit more about me and how I learned Taishanese. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you next week. Bye! How old am I?